Okay, this is the 30-day screenplay challenge. We're rebooting the Terminator. Listen, it's been brought to my attention, thank you, that I threw marketing under the bus a little bit in the last video, and I want to make perfectly clear that I am not throwing marketing under the bus. Marketing is a partner in this. The reason that marketing is on the Greenlight committee at major studios is because they're having a hard time too. Like, my friends reached out, some people said some things. I can't disagree. Bottom line is they're getting killed out there. Like, marketing is like, what the heck is going on? Like, we used to be able to calculate an amount of money that we spend, a targeted ad approach, a series of buys that are both television and in-market billboard and radio. And we used to be able to depend on an audience to show up, and sometimes word of mouth would make the movie have legs and it would last in theaters for a long time. Sometimes word would get out that the movie was kind of a stinker and people just kind of, didn't see it. And now with advanced reviews and aggregators like Rotten Tomatoes, there's, and then obviously the complete and total collapse of outdoor, billboard media. Like, man, if you're in the outdoor billboard business, I feel for you. Television largely has lost its supremacy in the marketing and advertising categories, while commercials in general aren't working. So marketing has tremendous challenges, and we shouldn't see them as opposition to the thing we're doing. We should see them as partners. So what do you do in the creation phase as a writer, as a producer, as a franchise builder? What do you do in the inception phase, in the execution, in the start of the process in order to help marketing? How do you become a partner to marketing? How do you create a thing? Especially, we're talking about a micro budget movie. We're talking about something that is very small and contained on purpose. So how do you build into the DNA of a story that size the specific approach that not only, recognizes that there are certain marketing challenges, but actually is dovetailing to fit and meet those marketing challenges? And I think it's the algorithm. It's a social media algorithm. What you're doing is, it's kind of a live by the sword and die by the sword situation. You want the algorithm to help you market this movie. And that sounds like BS. Like, I'll qualify that. The idea that the algorithm is this all powerful, mystery thing that you can't possibly put your finger on and can't possibly know what it is and how it works is a little naive. It's just it is written to capitalize on momentum in culture. It is written to fuel division. It is written to inspire discussion, like, hate, share, disagree, comment, slam on, piss on, moan about, but skipping it is the sign to the algorithm that it's not something that anyone wants to see. And so the algorithm shoves it lower and lower and lower. Focusing your attention in on it and feeling your feelings, being up in your feelings about it, is what we have taught the algorithm that it wants to do. So in essence, you want to play on that. You want to ride on that. You want to kind of surf on that wave. So you want to create an IP inside the Terminator, franchise. You want to create your version of it to sort of capitalize on the moment, be of the now, and have it sort of, put its finger on the pulse of what people are talking about. And I know this seems like an impossible task, and like, how can you know that 14 months out? Because by the time you write it and then shoot it and then cut it and then get a release date, there's this span of time. And I think, that's the job of the alchemist. That's the job of the screenwriter. That's the job of the suit, to say, okay, how do we make a movie of the now? How do we make a movie that has that meaning? And, the second thing that I got from a lot of people was the sort of pie in the sky. Well, oh yeah, wouldn't that be nice if, you set a Terminator movie in one house, but what would that even look like? And I think, look, you're not going to have tons and tons of visual effects. You're not going to have tons of practical makeup effects. You will have some of both, but you're not going to have the kinds of budgets that most studio movies get. So what your special effect is the dialogue. Your special effect is the characters. Your special effect is words. And I think to conceptualize what this movie is and to make it understandable for people who don't live inside my brain, The way I would like to frame it and picture it is this movie is ultimately a movie about two villains. You think about the greatest villains ever written, Hannibal Lecter, Alonzo, Amy Dunn from Gone Girl. Like, if Amy Dunn from Gone Girl was in a Terminator movie and she got brought all that, like, Amy Dunn, super hyper-focused crazy, not to disparage Amy Dunn, she's a lovely, special little snowflake. But, you know, if Ben Affleck and Amy Dunn, Ben Affleck's character in the movie, I forget his name, if they were in a Terminator movie and it was a power struggle going back and forth between the two of them and they were in a house in a contained space in a contained amount of time, that's the kind of thing you picture. Like if Hannibal Lecter met Walter White, right? And everything Walter White knows and is and has become over his journey in sort of becoming Heisenberg, you know, all the ruthlessness and all the ability and all the whatever, you know, that is pinned against Hannibal Lecter, who is a predator, a super predator. These are two super predators. These are two people who understand the human condition more than anything in the world and are 100% focused on using their, you know, skills and interests and natural God-given psychopathy to try and unnerve and unravel and unhinge and unpin the other person. And so it's a chess match between two supervillain psychopaths who are, you know, going at each other. John Doe, right? David Fincher's John Doe character. What's in the box? What's in the box? The John Doe character, played by Kevin Spacey, goes up against the Kaiser Soze character, also conveniently played by Kevin Spacey. Nobody really wants to see Spacey be Spacey, but if you take that idea of two brilliant masterminds and you kind of put them against each other in this context of a contained space, like, you know what it is going in. You saw the poster. It said Terminator on the poster. Like, you know, you watch the video series. Like, you people talk, like, you know what this is, but you know going in, like, oh, this is like a battle of two people with brilliant genius. And I'm not saying the whole movie is just talking, but you have to almost embrace this stage play quality to it. You almost have to embrace this ability to contextualize things in a way that are like, you know, verbal volleyball, and you have to build your thematic structure inside that verbal volleyball, and you have to kind of build, you know, the action sequences are verbally action sequences until they become physical. You know that there's going to be a physical fight, but if you start with it, then where do you go? And this is like the problem of the escalation problem we talked about in the first couple videos. It's like, you cannot out-spectacle Avatar, so you're not even trying. Like, you're trying to do the sort of contained space. You want a feeling of dread. You want a feeling of thriller. You want a feeling of ticking clock. You want a feeling of uneasy. You want your audience to kind of like be looking through their fingers, like nervous. Like, you want to create a feeling of uneasiness in your audience more than you want to create a feeling of like they're watching a mindless action thing, because you can't afford mindless action. So how do you do that? Well, you pit two evil geniuses against each other and you give them both like really, really great, you know, emotional stakes. And I think that if you can figure out how to do it, if we can figure out how to do that in the next, you know, now 28 days, I think that what we're looking at is the kind of Terminator movie that goes down in history. And don't say it can't be done. Like, I am not personally talented enough to do that, but hopefully the person who's hired to rewrite me after I'm fired from this project will have the ability to put that over the top. But I mean, you know, I've seen that over and over in low budget. I've seen people create tight, smart, thrilling, interesting, fantastic little puzzle boxes of movies between two characters who are evenly matched, but completely, totally psychotic. Like, I think you have to take them to a level of, you know, I don't know if you want to use human psychopathy or if you want to use machine intelligent understanding of human psychopathy. Or, and by the way, part of the trick might be that you don't know going in which one is the Terminator and which one is the human. But I think that that is the key. And look, back to marketing. Let's bring it back to marketing. The idea isn't just to make a movie that's good and marketing can sell it. That's not the point. Marketing has an easier time selling a good movie, but there are lots and lots and lots of good movies out, right? There are good movies in theater. Steven Soderbergh made 2 movies last year that people rated as exceptional, and no one saw either one of them. And one of them was wildly experimental, and one of them had the biggest movie stars on the planet, and nobody saw them. And like, you know, we're at a place now where marketing can't take just a good movie and automatically turn it into something. So what you're doing with the conception, what you're doing with the process that we're in now is you're figuring out, what is the thing that I can make that everyone in the world is kind of talking about already and probably won't stop talking about for the next year, that if I make a movie that speaks to that moment, that speaks to that time, that speaks to those feelings inside people, that's causing that reaction, that those people will still have real strong feelings about it next year, so that when it comes out and it's a Terminator movie set in those feelings, I will personally weigh in on it because it's just like what I've been saying on Twitter, or it's just like what I've been posting on Blue Sky, or it's exactly the kinds of videos I've been making on YouTube because this is something I feel really strongly about. And here is a movie that like kind of has their finger on the pulse of exactly what I've been going through in my own personal process, you know, processing the moment, understanding the moment that we're all going through. And so I think that marketing is not, I mean, I gave Burke a lot of grief, and it's because, look, what I was saying was, you don't make a PG-13 movie to reach the most number of people out of a franchise that needs to be a tiny little R-rated movie and give people a real horrific, specific, dark little experience. What you do is you let the rating fit the story you're trying to tell. So the story we're trying to tell is so evocative and so provocative and so just in my feelings about it that I have no choice but to take to social media and weigh in to the positive or to the negative, teaching the algorithm that in fact, this movie in this genre with this subject matter about this thing is the kind of thing that everyone in the world should be talking about. So the algorithm goes, well, let me push that in front of more people because it seems to be working. The people that see it seem to be commenting and sharing and liking. And that's the way that you use marketing as a partner, as a friend, to say, okay, let's build a movie that's built to generate the kind of word of mouth response from people that buys the kind of advertising that we simply can't afford to buy anymore, and certainly not on this size and scale and budget. And the very last thing is, I'm not going to write scripts. These are not scripts. This is from the top of my head, and I'm not editing. And for the people saying, why are you doing these as oneers? Like this could use some benefits from some editing. I want to give you the idea that you're sitting in a room and we're talking this through. Like, I think anyone can talk for 8 hours and then cut the best like 10-minute video out of it. That's not what I want to do. What I want to do is say, all right, I got notes. I got 10 bullet points. That doesn't mean that I wrote a script. I was like, I just want to make sure I cover marketing as your partner. Alonzo, 2 very sick evil geniuses, Spacey v. Spacey. Like, I think it's important that you guys see that when you get to a certain level in the business, you should have this kind of fluidity with your producers and certainly with the studio and certainly with the marketing department, that you can help them mitigate the risk of being in business with you by talking through and understanding and making sure that we're all circling the same goal and we're all aiming toward the same thing. And that is that, 30 days from now, 28 days from now, we're all going to have a Terminator reboot screenplay. So stay tuned. Let's do it together.